How's it going, Chewy? Welcome back to another personalized session for you, a one-on-one hands-on training. And there's a few things that I'm going to be teaching you in this particular session. You had a few questions. And first of all, before I start the session, I want to, again, thank you for your patience. I really, really appreciate it. You don't know how important it is to me that you express so much patience. So I'm gonna do everything in my power, Chewy, to make it up to you. I've been extremely busy shooting music videos, building websites, doing music production. I'm working with a record label, and they pretty much made me the head of the multimedia department. You know, with graphics and web design, and I've been overwhelmed with the amount of work that they sent my way, and that's the only reason why I have to pretty much put a price on you pretty much buying out my time. But I like you. I like your drive. I like your energy. I like your determination, and I like your determination, definitely, because you is very persistent. And what I like about that is I was like that. I am like that. And that's the only way that you can grow. That's the only way that you can benefit. That's the only way that you're going to truly be successful. You have to have that type of drive. You also show patience, and you show consideration. You're thoughtful. You have a lot of good qualities that I really, really, truly appreciate. And I promise you I'm going to do everything in my power to show you my appreciation for it, Chewy. I really want to let you know how important that is to me. Definitely your patience was not in vain, because even when right now, again, I'm pretty busy, but even when I'm at least when I try my best to not be so busy, man, just really do something, do something great and special for you, because you really been holding me down. So I appreciate that, man. I just wanted to make sure you knew that. I really want to make sure you understand that. All right, so let's get back to the session here. There's a few things I'm going to teach you. I'm going to show you how this was done. Now, I'm back on my PC, but hopefully by now, you'll be able to know how to work with the tools. It's not a lot. Once you sit down with it for a little bit, you'll be able to understand where the tools are and how to get it and stuff like that. I'll explain to you in explicit detail on how to do certain things and how it may go with your Macintosh. All right. But the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to lay this out, and then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to hone in, and I'm going to give you some concepts and some ideas on how certain things can be done. So I'm not just going to teach you how this was actually put together, but I'm also teach you how to think when it comes to developing different flyers and things like that. One of the things I want to tell you that's these are the things that you're paying for is, and this is some very, very valuable information. Always look at other great work and try to copy it, like mimic it as closely as possible. Now, the reason why you're doing that is not because you're stealing somebody's idea. That's not the idea. The idea is homework. It's homework. So when you look at other work, and I'm gonna pull something up to show you what I'm talking about. Let's get a new Chrome, and I'm just gonna say party club event flyers PSD. And we're just going to hit images here, and we're going to just kind of look at get a few ideas on some things. Right now, there's a lot of flyers, right? But me personally, for me to been able to develop the type of skills that's one of my works right there. For me to be able to develop the skills that I've developed, I actually had to, because I'm an artist, yes, but before you can fully understand how things is done, you have to do it. You actually have to redo what the masters have already done. So yes, although I am an artist, I am a graphic artist, there's still certain rules and things like that that comes into play when you doing flyers. So just because I can draw and just because I can paint, that don't mean that I'm a natural at coming up with flyers. But it helps. It helps that I'm an artist. It helps that I'm a designer, because once I understand the principles of how flyers is done and the layout and the text and the text sizes and the type of fonts you want to use or type of fonts you should use, then I can carry on and go my own direction because I understand all the rules. And the only way that you can understand all the rules is by redoing flyers that you see. So now, also, one of the biggest things is to have an eye. You really want to have an eye for good design, good layout. So as we're scrolling through here, I'm looking for something that stands out. Now this is a flyer, but this don't stand out. This is a flyer, but this don't stand out. But I ran across one that did, and I'm going to show you what stood out, and I'm going to explain to you why. This right here, this stands out. So let's take a look at this real quick. Look, that's me right here. Look. Look at me. It's interesting to find my stuff on here. But that means, you know, I built up to expert level doing flyers. So the reason why this look good and also these is because of composition, placement, and contrast and color. So composition is like the bird is centered in the middle. That's always going to look good to the eye when you have something to the left and symmetry to the right. And now I would have used a different font. This one just stood out. I like the overall design. I probably would have used some other elements. I would have made the bird a little, probably more richer, more realistic. You know what I'm saying? The wings, that's pretty good. All this it's all good. It's all good. The text could have definitely been better. I think they messed the flyer up by not properly using the right color contrast. You know, having the, you know, you really want your words readable, but you also want it to match the flyer. But this stands out. It popped out. Now, when you scroll down, there's a few more that's popping out. Like all these kind of popping out to me. And one thing that I can say, what I want you to understand is the main thing that's making these pop out is what's called contrast. And the contrast is, I'm gonna show you something real quick. Contrast is something that the human eye, I'm gonna type contrasting colors. The human eye, we're drawn to what's contrasty because it's the polar opposite. You know, one color is the polar opposite and the exact opposite of the other. And that's the reason why our eyes is drawn to this. So like at everything on this page, you see all this is all clear, all this is all white. But our eyes draw to anything that has vivid contrast. So the reason why this is working, the reason why these are working, because it has vivid contrast. There's white, there's blue and red. Those are the polar opposites, exact opposites of each other. So let's go hit click images and we'll see a lot more. Well, right now, okay, so it's not showing us like the exact, oh, right here, you see here. So you see how I want you to pay attention to something real quick. You see how we got this orange, and you see how that teal? Do you notice it almost kind of look like there's a little ring around it, like a little line? Well, it's not really a line there. What's happening is this orange and this green is so opposite of each other. So if you look at the tables, you can see that, you know, it's a left and right. You know, it's a yellow and the exact opposite is a purple. There's a green and the exact opposite is a red. Well, when you put those colors together inside of each other, it's going to look almost like 3D. It's going to pop out. It's going to have a little line around it, and it's not really a line there. It's just that it's so contrasty that it's appearing, it's popping off as if it have a line. It's really separating itself. That's what it's really doing, and that is attractive to us. Like, we like how that looks. I I'm going to link up another video where I talks about, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can find this real quick. I go over this on the tutorial mixtape cover. So let me see, mixtape text. Mixtape text. Okay, so me and his is the first ones to pop up. So I talk about that in this video. You may want to watch it. Make sure you go check this out when you get a chance. It's 30 minutes. It's 24 minutes. And we both get into color opposites. And the reason why this look good, it just look good, but it's because there's a psychology, there's a science behind it. Okay, so you're learning deeper things now. So color is very important. So I never understood that. You know, as coming up young, like for example, look at this right here. You see how to me that's very beautiful, right? It say how to use contrasting colors in photos. See, this is very beautiful. They know exactly what they're doing, right? But that's what I'm talking about. See, our eyes is drawn to that, and it looks attractive, and it's because of the you know, the way our minds work, the way our eyes see, and the way contrasting colors work. That's the reason, very reason why Pepsi used the, you know, these two colors, you know, red and blue and white. You know, you would think it's because of the flag, but it's primarily because of the contrasting colors, things like that. But anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. That's the reason why it looks like this. Now, we go back to something like this. Like, we can really make this look beautiful by simply, now this looks good, right? But we can make it look beautiful by simply finding the contrast to this and adding that somewhere in here. Now, it has to be relevant, still got to be relevant, but if we add it in there, it makes it pop. So it makes it visually appealing. Now, we go to something like this, right? This is good. It's a good looking flyer. You know, we got the guys here, you know, we got the background, we got the smoke and things like that. But we can make it look better by understanding contrast. So, for example, we know when we look at the contrasting here, where they talk about contrasting colors, we know that red and green is the opposite. You see that? You see that? Red and green, then red and green. So since we understand that, we can actually do something like put a green background behind these guys. Now I'm gonna show you something really quick before we get the session started. And take notes, if you will. Take some notes, because this stuff is important, and you're gonna have to remember this type of stuff in the future. So I'm gonna show you something real quick on what I mean about contrast and things like that. All right, that was too small. Sorry about that. But I'm going to just do something real quick. Now, when I say green, I don't mean like solid green. You still want to get creative, right? So what I like to do is, especially when you're like getting creative, instead of it being like full-on green, I'll do something like this, because we want to make the contrasting colors of that, right? So I'll do something like this, and then I'll bring it up a little bit, right? And I'm making a marquee. Let me explain to you what I'm doing. I'm making a marquee, and I'm painting inside of it that this solid green color, but it's not fully light. It's not fully bright green. So I paint inside that. I deselect the cursor, and then what I want this to kind of be blurry. So I'm really kind of like making a vignette background. So I want this to be blurry. So to do that, I'll go up here to filter, and then I'll go down to blur and Gaussian blur, and then I'll just kind of spread the radius until that's pretty kind of blurry back there like that. Then I hit OK, and then I'll create another layer, and then we're going to do the brighter green. So we're going to do the same thing, make a selection, make a circle selection, go over here, pick our colors. This time I'm going to make it bright green, hit OK, and then go to the paint bucket, go ahead and paint inside, hit deselect, then go to our filter, go down to blur, back to Gaussian blur, and then we'll tighten it up a little bit so we can see the brightness of the green. Now, so in a sense, we still have green, but we don't have a solid green, because a solid green just would look very stupid and dull. So we fancy the green up. We can do something like this. We can add textures, however you want to fancy the green up. So I'm gonna hit Control. I'm gonna hold Control and hit E, and then yours is probably going to be Command E. And what that's going to do is merge these layers over here together. So I'm gonna hit Control E. We merge that layer 1, and then we're going to merge layer 1 to background. So I hold Control E, click that. So now we just got one layer. I can't even delete that. Remove it. All right. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take this image. Well, actually here, and I'm gonna do a quick. It's really just going to be quickly, but I'm just going to demonstrate what I'm talking about color contrast. So we'll take the guys out here, and because they have the red, and I'm gonna probably have to blur the edges a little bit, but because they have the red is the reason why it's going to work. Now hold Command C to copy, and then Command V to paste. So I'll just paste these guys over here in this page here, and I'm gonna shrink it down. Here, let's zoom in. But the point here is now being made. I'm just going to blur the edges a little bit before we kind of discuss what's going on here. So I'm gonna get my eraser tool. I'm gonna make sure that I pick a brush, a soft brush with soft edges. And oh, sorry about that. I don't know why that opened up. And let's zoom in here. I'm gonna shrink it down. You can use the left bracket to make it small. You can use the right bracket to make it large. So I'm gonna use the left bracket to make it small. And then I'm just gonna brush the edges a little, because I don't have time to carve them out the way I want to, right? And this is just for the sake of teaching you something really quick about color contrast and things like that. There's a few other things you're gonna want to learn, but this is one of the main things that I'm kind of trying to teach you. All right, so now if you look at this overall, you will see now how the contrasty red, this actually makes it pop. Now, I don't know if I would probably use that, it would have to be in the theme, but the point is that this just looks better than that. Or actually, and I'm not gonna say it looked better than that, I'm not downing nobody's work. It's all about come on, can I deselect? There we go. It's all about getting the best. Now, what I probably would have did with this one in particular, made that a little bit more bluer. That's another good contrast, blue and red. But green and red is like the pop contrast. And then the other thing is green and gold. Now that's another green and gold. Green, yellow, which is green and gold, and then the opposite of green is red. So those three colors. So another color I was using here, and I'm probably kind of going on a tangent now, but let's see, let's say gold text, right? So so this, and if I did have to use the green background, say for St. Patrick's Day or something like that, I would do that, and then I would have the text gold. So I'll maybe do something like that, and then go to layer and layer style, and then put like a bevel emboss on it. And now we got some gold text going on here. And with that, we zoom in a little bit. That's kind of just, it's a very quick way, to show you the importance and the value of color contrast. And these are the type of things that make your flyers pop. Now this, we're going to throw this away. It's not something that I would do, but I'm kind of just was driving a little point home about the importance of color contrast and things like that, and what makes flyers pops and things. So going back to this, I said that I was going to pick something that I like in particular, and the training of this is to find something that looks good to you and then redo it. And what happens is you learn different skills and you learn different techniques, and you're forced to explore or expand the things that you've already learned with Photoshop. So now here, this one right here, I like this one. See, I picked this one right off the rip. So why? Well, we know we're working with color contrast because we have two color opposites. We got the light, the baby blue, and then we got that purple or the red. So we know that red and blue is opposite, but you got the powder blue and you got like this pinkish red or that hot pink. And that just really makes it look good. You see what I'm saying? And then we sticking with the theme. We got a little bit of gold in there, you know. But the other thing that's making this pop off is the letters. Now, these are a little bit more advanced letters. I'll show you how to do that in the future. A lot of times we do our 3D letters with After Effects. I don't know if you're familiar with After Effects, but I'll still show you how that's done, all right? But right now, we're going to talk about, I kind of like these two here. But this is something, again, this is something that I would pick. This is something that I would choose to redo. And by me redoing it, I'll learn new things. Like if you really examine this picture here, you know, we got the buildings in the background. So I'll know, okay, so let me go find some buildings. You know, we got some fireworks in there. Okay, so let me get some fireworks. We got a few flags. You know, that look like, to me, that look like a barbershop type thing. I don't know what that is. I guess they're firework capsules. You know what I mean? But something else that draw my attention to this is not just the font size, but the font itself. So when you look at, like with DJ Vic, the font size says a lot about the flyer. Now, let me explain to you, because this is the primary reason for this tutorial. This tutorial is primarily for font and understanding font. It's called typography, and understanding typography helps you to make better flyers. So if we look at all of these, the first thing that's really going to really truly stand out is the fonts. So right here we see the Memorial Day. Now the image don't necessarily look to, you know, stand out as the font, but we do notice that first. If we kind of just breeze through, I'll say I noticed that. The reason why we notice that is because it says Friday night, but it's contrasting. It's contrasting. The letters is pretty bold, and then they have the white background, you see. If we scroll a little bit more, we maybe see this Memorial Day, you know. But the font is really what's making it. When we go over here, when we look on this side and we kind of scroll through, when we're looking for what's a good flyer, the first thing really going to pop out is the composition. This one right here is looking pretty decent to me. But the font, and does it have contrast? So we're looking at contrast, composition, and font. And those are the really, here's a good one right here. This is good. You know, we got the simple picture, but you know, the font is really telling a lot, right? So to kind of, you know, address this or add to the knowledge of what I'm saying about fonts, this flyer could mean so much more if this font had contrast. So what I mean by that is, if we look at here, the reason why this looks good, because it's not a really fancy letter, but it's broad, it's bold, and it has contrast, meaning you can see behind it, the letters pop out, it stands out. So that's one thing that I really want you, like, write this down. Contrast. You know, you definitely want contrast. So say, for example, this is a really powerful looking logo here. You know, you got it looks gold, it looks like it got diamonds in it, but you can't see it because the background, I mean, you can see it, but it's not special because the background is blending right in with the tonalities of this first logo. So to really make this logo pop, if this logo was on a black background, then it would really be strong. And maybe I can show you that when I redo this for you. When I redo this, I can show you that. Now, what I'm going to do for this one is I'm not going to carve out each person. I'm just going to carve out the whole group, right? Because you already know how to carve out the people. So I'm not going to teach you something that you already know. That'll be a waste of time. But what I will do is I'm going to redo the letters and stuff like that, and I'm gonna switch it up to what I probably would have done to kind of make it look, that much better. Oh, this is an album. Oh, wait, is this an album? Oh, no, this is a tour date flyer. Okay, what you want? Hold on, Chewy. Okay, Chewy. So with that being said, let's go ahead and finally get started. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this a separate tutorial for you, because I really want, this is important. This information that I just gave you is very important. You may want to refer back to this, and then you may want to take down some notes. Now, I want to say this, Chewy, the difference between entrepreneurs, millionaires, and regular Smo Joes is when they have a mentor, because all millionaires have mentors, they actually follow directions to the letter. So for example, if your entrepreneur tell you to write something down, it's not only vital to write it down, but you have to do it like whole soul, you know what I mean? Because you're learning from an expert, you're learning from somebody that been there and done that, and they didn't become an expert by not doing the same thing they're telling you. So if you want to become that expert, these things that you're learning, you have to like really apply it. And by really applying it, that means that pause it, go get a pencil and paper, write it down. Just do it. It's going to pay off in the future. I promise you that. It's definitely going to pay off in the future. For example, an entrepreneur might tell you, I have an assignment for you, but what I want you to do, I want you to take out 5 minutes every single day and do this one task. 5 minutes. That's it. No more, no less. But make sure you commit to it and don't break the chain. See, an entrepreneur would tell you to do that. And what you have to do is do it. Now, if you want to measure your success, ask yourself, are you going to do it or not? I don't know. I'm kind of dragging it along, but I'm really getting personal with you right here. That's the difference between an extremely successful person or somebody that's just a passive thing. So when I say write it down, pause it, learn about contrast, this and other, like really do it. So I'm going to make this separate so that you can really just hone in and concentrate specifically on these notes. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put together this tutorial. And then if it's not too much time, we're going to put together this tutorial. But the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the layouts, and then we're going to talk about the fonts, because I know that's something that you, in particular, that you wanted to learn. All right. So let's do that. We're going to move on to the next session, and you can take a break and then come back and follow through with the next session.